Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you have joined us for our OTCQB Venture Conference. Our next live presentation is from Silver47 Exploration. Please note you may submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings by clicking Book a Meeting in the top toolbar. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Gary Thompson, Executive Chairman of Silver47 Exploration, which trades on the OTCQB venture market under the symbol AAGAF and on the TSXV under the symbol AGA. Welcome back, Gary.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Well, welcome everyone for taking a few minutes to learn about Silver47. And why 47? Well, 47 happens to be the atomic number for silver, and we're focused on building a U.S. Focused high-grade silver exploration development company. Before I get into the, I guess, projects and where we're at, I thought I'd talk a little bit about the silver market, given that we've seen recently this year a significant move. I think we're up something like 25% on the price of silver, and a lot of analysts are calling for silver to move much higher. And if you look at the history of silver, it's taken a run at $50 several times, and I think the consensus is that silver will likely move past $50 an ounce of silver, and likely potentially even in triple digits. What we're seeing in the silver market is tremendous demand for industrial purposes. And what's unique about the commodity silver is that it's one of the most utilized elements on the periodic table. And in fact, all other metals are compared to silver for electrical conductivity. It has the highest electrical conductivity, has very high thermal conductivity, and the applications for silver are tremendous. We're seeing big moves, obviously, in solar, and I think we haven't even seen the demand come into the market from the batteries, but there's a new solid-state battery being brought to market over the next year or two that uses a significant amount of silver. They're solid-state, they don't blow up, they're twice the range for distance of charging, they're charged twice as fast. So there's a lot of utility in silver. So I think the demand on the industrial side is going to continue to grow, as will likely the investment side of it. So we see silver as being a great place to be. And what's unique about what we're up to is that we're looking to build a premier silver exploration development company focused in the U.S. And if you look at the silver market and the silver assets out there, there's just not a lot of silver names in the U.S. So with that, I'll move on to get into the details of the company. And before I do that, I just want to caution viewers and listeners. I may be making some forward-looking statements, so please, at your leisure, have a look at the forward-looking statements, which is available on our website. Which is silver47.ca. So as I mentioned, we're looking to create a leading U.S.-focused high-grade silver exploration development company. We recently completed a merger of equals with a company called Suma Silver, which now puts us in a position of strength. We went from both were about 40 million market cap companies to now about 120 million market cap. So classic 1 + 1 = 3 math, really productive math, and we're excited to get going on these assets. So we have three main assets right now: are Red Mountain in Alaska, the Hughes project in Nevada, and the Mogollon project in New Mexico, all of which have substantial resources. And you can see just on the right here some of the some of the intervals that we're reporting here: 36 meters of 672 grams per ton silver equivalent, 6 meters of almost 2 kilos of silver equivalent. And then on the Hughes project, just some examples of some of the grades that we've intercepted: 2.8 meters of 3,900 grams silver equivalent. And in New Mexico, at Mogollon, 31 meters of 448. So pretty substantial high grade silver. And generally these deposits are not just silver, the silver, gold, and in the case of Red Mountain, it's a polymetallic where we have silver, gold, copper, lead, zinc, antimony, gallium, and other critical minerals. So if you look at the company today post-merger, we have a substantial resource base over the three assets, totaling 236 million ounces silver equivalent at fairly substantial grade at 334 grams per ton silver equivalent on the inferred category, and an additional 10 million ounces of silver equivalent at 333 grams per ton equivalent on the indicated category. Now, we've got a couple of ambitious goals for the company, and one of which is to grow this company to a point where we can establish a listing on the New York Stock Exchange. Because we are a U.S.-focused company, and we want to get the exposure to the U.S. market, so we do plan a lot of marketing in the U.S., and that's one of our objectives, is to get on the New York board. In addition to that, we set out a goal of achieving a 1 billion ounce silver equivalent company, and how we get there is through a combination of drilling our assets, and we're looking to grow each and every one of these projects through drilling, and there is potential to expand on the resources, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the next few slides. But in addition to that is further M&A in the space to grow, similar to what we just did with the Summa merger. So we're planning to be fairly aggressive on that front to grow. So it's growing through the drill bit and growing through M&A. And the other compelling opportunity that we believe we provide to investors is that there's a significant re-rate potential for this company. And if you look at right now, our enterprise value over silver ounces equivalent in the ground, as a metric of valuation on a US dollar per ounce in the ground, we're trading around 33 cents an ounce of silver equivalent in the ground, combined on a pro forma M&I resource endowment. So we think there's strong re-rate potential as we get out and tell the story and advance the company. And it just goes to that point where we pulled a couple of our peers, companies like Argenta, BlackRock, Outcrop, and Dolly Varden. They're in that dollar to, in Dolly Varden's case, at around $2 an ounce enterprise value ounce in the ground, and we're basically at 33 cents. So we think there's lots of re-rate potential given the scale of the opportunity that we hold in these assets, and just getting out and telling the story. Now, a lot of people may not be aware of Silver47 because the company was private up until November of 2024, so we haven't even been trading a year as a public company. So we're a relatively new entity on the market and growing rapidly. And I think as people become aware of the assets and the portfolio and the growth strategy, perhaps we'll start to capture some of that value. And that's really the opportunity for investors here, the significant re-rate potential from this current 33 cents an ounce in the ground to that dollar, potentially $2 and even higher range. The management team, I'm the executive chairman. I'm pushing now 30 years in resource exploration, from mineral exploration to renewable energy to oil and gas. This would be my fourth public company I've been involved with. Galen McNamara is the CEO of the company. He was the CEO of Summa Silver. He brings 20 years experience in resource exploration development in gold and uranium and silver. And then we have Martin, our CFO, Alex Wallace, our VP Exploration, Jordy is our VP Investor Relations, and Chris York is our VP Operations. So strong technical team, and we have another 3 or 4 geologists that are working hard behind the scenes to help unlock the value of these projects. On the board of directors side, there's 4 board members at the moment. We do plan to increase the board size at our next AGM. So currently it was two directors from the Silver47 side, so myself and Ryan Goodman, and then two from the Summa Silver side, Gayla McNamara and Thomas O'Neill. So currently a strong board of directors and a very technical management team. On the capital structure side, we're sitting around 94 cents Canadian on a share price, that's giving us about 130 million market cap, and currently sitting with about 12 million in cash. So we've got a strong balance sheet, and we're going to continue to grow that. On a shareholder basis, you can see Eric Sprott is our single largest shareholder, around 12%. Insiders and management around 10% combined, and then institutional is about 15%. So it's still largely retail, 63% held, and we are looking to rebalance that as we get out and tell the story and attract more institutional names. One of the goals that we have also is to get into the silver index, which currently we're not. We think that will help drive some liquidity. And now the company does trade quite well, so we do have a good amount of volume on a daily basis for a junior company. So why silver? Well, there's scarcity in the silver market. There's certainly not a lot of silver pure play opportunities, and just most silver comes as a byproduct of other mines, gold and copper and lead, zinc, and that's part of the silver story as you get silver with these other metals. And we think given the current we're pushing now a 5-year supply deficit for silver, and we think that that can't last forever, and which is part of the reason we're seeing the price in silver moving pretty dramatically this year, and it looks like that's not slowing down. So we anticipate the silver price to continue to rise in the short and long term, and we think that silver is essential for this emerging low carbon economy. And given the demand that we're seeing on the industrial side, we think that's going to continue to grow, as I mentioned earlier. And also silver does provide that hedge against the monetary instability. It was just historically for the last 5,000 years used as currency. It's becoming more of an industrial metal, but it does still hold value from a monetary purpose. And silver just has unique properties, as I mentioned earlier. And historically, silver is undervalued. If you look at the ratio of silver to gold in the ground, it's more like 7 to 1. And we've hit as high as 120 to 1. Now we're sitting around about 85 to 1. So we think as that ratio, the silver to gold ratio, comes down, the silver price goes higher, and we anticipate that the long time average, I think, is around 55 or something to 1 for silver to gold ratio. So that would just mean a tremendous move in silver prices, which we all anticipate is coming. Just a little bit now on the resource side. There's a lot of numbers on here, but this is combining the three main projects, Red Mountain, Hughes, and Mogollon. And we can see the total tonnage here at the bottom. So on the indicated, 1 million tons of mineral resource. On the indicated category, which provides that 10 million ounces silver equivalent. And on the total combined, total inferred mineral resource, 22 million tons, gives us that 236 million ounces of silver equivalent. Now, if you were to just look at the silver alone and combine just the silver in this company, is about 70 million ounces of silver and about 700,000 ounces of gold combined here. So pretty significant precious metal weighting. So if you're to combine and compare the precious metals to base metals here, we're around 60% precious to base metals, because we do have significant amounts of base metals, as you can see here, about 500,000 tons of zinc. So just going to dive quickly into the Red Mountain project. It's a large land position that's located in south central Alaska, about 100 kilometers or 60 miles due south of Fairbanks. And just to the west of this claim block is a highway and a rail line that goes down from Fairbanks to Anchorage, and power as well. So reasonably close access to infrastructure. It's a large position, 620 square kilometers, wholly owned ground on state managed lands, which is important for permitting. And it's seen a lot of work. It's seen something like 40,000 meters worth of drilling and north of $30 million worth of exploration expenditures. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the two main zones that make up the resource, Dry Creek and West Tundra Flats. But just to mention that this project does offer significant large-scale potential for new discoveries. There's something like north of 30 prospects that most of them have not been drilled, and most of the exploration dollars have been spent on these two main resource areas. So lots of upside for new discoveries. It is a polymetallic VMS. The resource is coming in on an inferred basis, 168.6 million ounces silver equivalent, contained within 15.6 million tons at 336 grams per ton silver equivalent. So good high grade. And now this is just getting into the long section of one of the two resources. The reason that we got interested in this project was simply the silver numbers and gold numbers you can see here. 3 meters of 738, 6.8 meters of 939 grams per ton silver, plus gold and base metals. So we're here for the precious metals. This black line represents the current open pit design plan. We think there's lots of room. You can see a lot of the drilling here has been quite shallow. We think there's lots of room to expand this. And right now it's a combination of open pit and underground. And it's just going to take more drilling to really expand out this resource. Now there has been some metallurgical work done. We're seeing sort of between 70 to 90% recoveries on the main metals. We are looking to do some additional met work on the antimony and gallium to see what kind of recoveries we might anticipate there. Now the West Tundra Flats zone, these two zones are about 2.7 kilometers apart. And quite interesting about this West Tundra Flat zone is that, again, look at some of the silver grades, up 1.3 kilos of silver per ton. Again, quite high silver and gold within this zone. These zones may be part of the same horizon. We haven't physically made that connection, and that's something that we're continuing to look at. But the main goal for these two zones and for this project in general is to advance it to a point where we can put it into a PEA. And the question that we have is, and we do have some engineers helping us with the economic side of it. What do we need to, in a resource category, to get to the PEA stage? So we are looking to do fairly aggressive drilling over the next coming years to a point where we can put this into a development story as soon as we can. And this is just a little snapshot of the critical mineral potential that we see at Red Mountain. This is looking at the foreign supply as a percent of demand. And we have quite a number of critical minerals on the Red Mountain project. So copper, tin, zinc, antimony, gallium, in addition to the silver, gold, and other base metals there. And this is showing you some of the antimony grades. Now, what's interesting is that antimony and gallium, although they are known here, they weren't really pursued as value-add commodity. And I think given the price move that we've seen in both antimony and gallium over the last year or two, largely due to the supply constraints coming out of China, we've seen tremendous value now being attributed to minerals like antimony and gallium. So we're doing some metallurgical work on these commodities to see how that might add value to the project. But you can see the grades here, pretty substantial grades, almost 0.3% antimony, 0.4% antimony, and in some cases close to 100 grams per ton gallium. So again, just potential value add to the already substantial resource that we have. Now just shifting gears quickly down to Nevada, to the Hughes project. Hughes project is located in the famed, in Nevada, which is the silver state, in a town mining district called Tonopah, which is located pretty much between Reno and Las Vegas, just off the road. There was some past production here, 170 million ounces of silver produced, and 1.9 million ounces of silver were produced historically here. So we think there's lots of potential to grow. There was an initial resource published on the Hughes project, 32.9 million ounces of silver equivalent within 2.4 million tons at 421 grams per ton silver equivalent. And in addition, 10 million ounces on the indicated category, and the 2.7 million ounces in some tailings. Very high recoveries on the metallurgical work that's been done, 90% for silver, 97% for gold. And so we're looking to continue to do work on this project and to grow the resource. Now, what's interesting about this, the Tonopah district, is you've got Black Rock silver out to the west that's now something like 100 million ounces of silver equivalent. It's mostly silver gold. And there's been a lot less drilling on the Hughes project to get to our now 32.9 million inferred and another 10 million indicated. And we think there's lots of potential to grow this resource, which is why we're here. And most of the opportunity that we see is really out here to the east. We've got a big area here. There's a 1 kilometer scale bar. So we've got multiple kilometers of zone that really hasn't been drill tested to the extent that the mine working areas have been. And just to highlight some of the hits here, again, 2.8 meters of 2,900 grams silver and 22 grams, 2,200 grams silver and 21 grams of gold, giving us 3,900 on a silver equivalent basis. So I'm not going to go through all these numbers, but just to point out some pretty impressive silver hits and gold hits within the Hughes project. And we're planning to, over the winter months, come back here with a series of fence drilling to really define that that extension here. And you can see it's really wide open space here. There hasn't been that much drilling. I've got a couple of holes here, 3 meters of 392, 3 meters of 1450 as an example, but still lots of room to grow. That's where we see the opportunity on this project, is really extension from the known to the unknown, and we plan to test that again over the winter months. And this is just really a district scale comparison. If you look at some of the other world-class mining districts for these silver camps, they can be quite large, and some of them are north of 1 billion ounces of silver. And if you look at the strike length of some of these, they're quite substantial. And we've got a 4 kilometer strike length here to work with. So pretty substantial playground, we think, to find a lot more silver and gold on this Hughes project. Now, just moving on to Mogollon, my last project I'll talk about today in New Mexico. This was in production prior to World War II. Some of the recent work that was done on the project recently published a maiden resource of 32 million ounces of silver equivalent within 2.7 million tons of material at 367 grams per ton silver equivalent. Again, silver and gold, quite high recoveries, 97 for silver, 98 for gold. And what I find quite remarkable is most of the work's been focused in around, this area called the main part of the Queen Vein, which is about 2.4 kilometer area. And there's been over 77 kilometers of vein structure has been identified. But this one main structure, the Queen Vein, has this northeast trend for about 8 kilometers here. So I think this is going to keep us busy just focusing on this Queen Vein in the short term. This is just some of the drilling that has been done. Again, quite strong gold silver mineralization. You can see some of the grades here, pretty remarkable, up over a kilo of silver, and some pretty remarkable 66 grams, that's north of 2 ounces per ton gold. So quite high gold as well in the system. And so we're planning to do some drilling. The plan really right now, we're actively drilling in Alaska, as we move into the fall months in October, we'll likely be shifting gears down into New Mexico and get on this project over the fall, winter months, and then move over into Nevada in the winter and spring months, and then again back up to Alaska in the summer months. So that's the strategy generally, and you can see some of the past production, as I mentioned, from Mogollon prior to World War II, are these sort of grayed out areas here with some of the past production. And we see a lot of potential here. You can see some of the drilling that has been done that makes up the resource that we have, but lots of room to grow this resource. And even shallow, if you look at like Clifton and the Everly mine, not a lot of drilling in around here, so lots of room to grow these resources in a reasonably small area. We're looking at about a 2 kilometer long section here, so lots of room to grow this, and that's the plan. This is just showing some more highlights, some pretty remarkable hits, lots of other good high-grade sampling that's been done at surface, and just not a lot of drilling. So we want to get the drills turning on this as soon as we can. So big scale project, lots of high-grade silver and gold. Now, just to summarize some of the upcoming catalysts and work plan that we have, we have a significant resource already, and we plan to expand on each one of these projects, the Red Mountain in Alaska, Hughes in Nevada, and Mogollon, New Mexico in 25 into 26. We're looking to provide an updated resource as we do more work on these projects and continue to grow them, and just move them into a PEA development story as soon as we can. We're going to continue to look at the critical mineral potential at Red Mountain and see what kind of value we can unlock there. And we're looking at a continue to grow as a company, accretively looking at transactions on the M&A front to continue to grow this company towards our goal of reaching 1 billion ounces of silver equivalent, anchored in America's most prolific mining jurisdiction. So U.S. focused, high-grade silver, Silver47. Thank you for your attention, and happy to open it up for questions.